Hey guys, Jim here. Just wanted to do a little overview on my very first custom knife that I had ever purchased a few years back, and still one of the endearing favorites in my collection, and that's my beautiful custom Tighe Coon made by Brian Tighe. An amazing flipper. It was my first full custom knife, my first flipper knife, first for a lot of reasons. As you see, I've got a nice little collection of flippers here and some amazing customs to go along with that. But this is really the genesis, what really got me going and got me excited about stepping up into slightly more expensive knives, getting out of production and going into more of the custom made or mid-tech arena. Let me get some of these out of the way here. This is a knife that most of you have seen, whether it be on the internet or at any of the knife shows. Brian Tighe does amazing work. For those that don't know, Brian actually, he lives in Canada, manufactures out of Canada, and he's just crazy cool. I mean, he's one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to talk to. Quick backstory on this. When I first contacted Brian, it actually was not for this knife. I had come across on TrueNorthKnives.com, I had come across a beautiful custom that he had made called the Bengal, and he made 10 of them. It was a Joel Perella design, amazing, gorgeous, really, really cool knife. And I saw that and I said, I absolutely have to have that. They were sold out, and I didn't realize that it was a limited run of 10. So I got a hold of Brian through his website. He told me to give him a quick phone call, called him up, and we started talking. He says, listen, he was so polite about it. And that's the thing with Brian. He's such an incredibly polite guy. He says, listen, we only made 10 of them. It was a special limited run for Neil at True North Knives, so I can't make it again. It would just devalue the original ones, and that's something that I'm not willing to ever do. I'm not, going to sacrifice my reputation to make somebody else a knife. So unfortunately, that wasn't going to happen. And as I started looking around his website, I said, you know what? I said, there's another one that I'm really digging that you make on the Tighe Coon. He says, yeah, I can make one of those for you. I said, well, let me talk it over with the wife and, see what we're going to do. Because at that time, it was a little more than I was typically spending on my knives. And it just so happened the next week was my birthday. My wife got all excited. She ended up contacting Brian kind of behind my back and said, okay, you guys talked, you know what he wants. I just want to pay for it. And how quick can you do it? And he says, well, normally it's going to take a month to 2 months to have something custom made. He says, I've already got, I forgot if it was a set of the handles or the blade. He goes, I've already got an extra one of those done. I can hurry and try to get one to you. And if you want to pay for overnight shipping from Canada, which was probably something like $85 or $100, he says, I'm more than happy to get it to you in time for his birthday. So when my birthday came around and I opened this up, I just flipped out. The overall quality, the sleekness of everything is incredible. And one of the things I love about Brian is when you look at a Brian Tighe knife, you know it's a Brian Tighe knife. It really isn't going to be mistaken for anything else or compared to anything else. And that goes for any of his designs. And you see a lot of the production pieces made by CRKT that's licensing his designs. You can always still tell his knife designs. It's this really cool, futuristic, almost spaceshipy kind of look to them. What you're getting here is nothing short of perfection. The mill work that he does with his CNC machine is incredible. He did a few different styles of handles on this knife. This is the one that kind of has this, I don't know what he names this pattern or if he even has a name for it. I kind of fell in love with that. I had not seen until after I purchased this that he'll do certain anodization in the center here, make it blues and purples and whatnot. That either it wasn't available at the time or I had not seen it. I love his custom pivot. I mentioned this on a different video that I did when I was doing the video on my my full contact flipper here. I was talking about pivot designs. I love what Greg Lightfoot did with that one. But when you get into Brian, it's just crazy cool. One of the things that I love about this, and it's the only knife I have that has it, is the button lock. Button locks are incredible. They're very, very sturdy. They're very, very reliable. And it's a nice, simple system. We're all used to dealing with a liner lock or a lock bar of some sort. One of the things I've never liked about that is I'm having to put my thumb in the way of the blade. Now, in a flipper, I've got a little more protection here. And we've all done this. You're kind of closing your knife super fast. You're not paying as much attention as you normally would. And something smooth like these that have the IKBS, that blade just drops down super easy, super fast. And we've all nicked our thumbnail or nicked our thumb in some way. What I love about the button lock is I push it and none of my fingers are in the way. I never really have to worry about cutting myself when I go to close my knife. It's a stupid thing. It's a simple thing, but it's something that I like. The trick is button locks are not easy to do. Most knives that you're going to come across, if they have a button lock, there's going to be some blade play, either up and down, actually only up and down. And with Brian, he has absolutely perfected this. There is no lock rock, there is no blade movement or play whatsoever in any of his knives that I've ever handled, including this one. I love the fluting that he does on the titanium. What you'll notice is it's a completely open design. He has 2 points of contact. The one standoff back here and the pivot. That's it. That's all you've got holding your titanium slabs apart. I love the simplicity of that. And that's something I've noticed in a lot of Brian's designs is simplicity. He does it very, very well. Then you get to the blade, and obviously not simple on that. Just soak in the beauty of this. Now, he uses BG42 steel. Now, it's a steel that has gotten so expensive that a lot of U.S. manufacturers really aren't dealing with it anymore. A lot of the Canadians still are. Brian, obviously, being Canadian. Greg Lightfoot deals with it as well. I believe Kirby Lambert does, and a few others. It's a more expensive steel now than it used to be. And I think it kind of fell out of favor for a lot of people because for a long time there, it was a very popular steel that everybody was using. And I guess once you hear or see something enough, you tend to lose respect for it. I don't know. I prefer it over something like S30, S30V, S35VN. Not that I have any issues with those whatsoever, but you've got slightly better edge retention by using this particular steel. And when he does cool stuff like this on that blade, you really understand where you're spending your money. He calls this the fluted blade. I love how this is done. It's not the sharpest knife I've ever owned, but I really don't care. Is this really one that you're going to be going out in the back alley and cutting down boxes with? No. I mean, this, I've carried this a lot, but it's now kind of reserved for being a dressier piece for me. It's a fairly lightweight knife, and it's extraordinarily slim. As a matter of fact, let me kind of lay this down here and give you some comparisons to other very popular flippers. You know, there's a Todd Begg Bodega. Bodega is almost twice as thick. Here's my Una, which is probably my second slimmest large size knife. The Una Hard 2. Still thicker than the Brian Tighe. Obviously, my Mikkel Williamson prototype, that thing's just a beast. It's a freaking monster. I mean, look at the blade profile on that thing. It's insane. Actually, the titanium liner, now that I look at the titanium liner that he's using, is about the size of the titanium slabs on here. Even this little guy, my PF1 flipper from Chris Martin, is thicker, even though it's a tremendously smaller knife. So it's very slim, it's very lightweight, it's very easy to carry. So if you're wearing dress pants or you're wearing shorts, this is a really, really great knife to be carrying for that. The only thing I don't like about it is it's a tip down carry. I don't like grabbing my knife, having to reposition it loosely in my hand, and then deploying it. I want to be able to just grab my knife like this. Actually, it's going to be like that. Grab it, because I'm going to slide my hand all the way in my pocket when I grab it, and I can just whip it out. That's what I prefer. But unfortunately, he only did them tip down. It's a nitpick on an otherwise perfect knife. I still carry it, I still love it, and it's still one of my most cherished pieces. So if you've never had a chance to get your hands on a Brian Tighe, do it. Absolutely do it. It is so exciting when you first open that box. And I don't know if he does it anymore, but he actually used to give a beautiful wood presentation box with a glass top that was signed with his name in this same font, etched into the wood, and your knife just lays there in its own unique display. And that thing had to cost a lot of money to manufacture or to buy, however he's doing it. And I don't know if he still does that. I've seen some people get theirs, I believe, in pouches. And maybe that's just a purchase from a show. Maybe it's less expensive for him to carry a whole bunch of pouches to a show than a bunch of big wood heavy boxes. But the overall presentation of the knife itself is incredible. The quality of the steel, I'm never really going to have to worry about it getting dull. Again, I'm not overly using it and abusing it. That's what I have all my other knives for. This is a dressy, beautiful, beautiful piece to carry in the pocket. So once again, I mean, the prices are fair. He now uses IKBS. This is an older model that doesn't have it, so you'll see every now and then when I go to open it, it won't quite, of course now it will. There we go. It won't quite lock open all the way. I've actually considered talking to him to see if maybe he would convert mine to IKBS, just because I prefer that system, having it now in so many different knives that I've got. You know, obviously the legendary Bodega, that thing just whips open like crazy. Actually, pretty much everything I've got now in a flipper has IKBS. But the value is incredible. I think at the time when I bought this back in 2000, I want to say 2009, I think it was $525 or $550. And I think it's only gone up a few dollars since then. You might pay $575 for it. And I think it's a screaming value on a beautiful and unique knife, something you'll enjoy carrying, enjoy pulling out and showing off. People are just going to want to touch this thing. They're going to want to see it. They're going to want to hold it. They're going to want to feel it. And that's something that really plays into the whole pride of ownership and gets rid of buyer's remorse. You buy a Brian Tighe, I don't see how you could have any buyer's remorse. He's a great guy. Check out his website. Check out his amazing designs. And check out the custom things that he'll do. I mean, you know, this is kind of a basic model nowadays compared to what he does with additional etching and anodization and heat treating that he's offering on his models. So it's almost sky's the limit on your options. So definitely check him out. Brian Tighe, Tighe, for the 8 of you that haven't actually heard of him. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me some comments. Thanks again.